With the weather finally cooling down here in Los Angeles, I'm really looking forward to being able to wear some of the different Visvim outerwear pieces that I have in my collection. There's a few different pieces that I haven't shown yet on this channel, and I felt like this was the perfect opportunity to showcase some of the details and kind of do like a slight in-depth review of some of these different pieces for you guys. The first jacket that I'm going to be showing is this YARDLINE full zip jacket. I did pick this up as part of my trunk show order. I want to say this one was from 2023 or 2024. This one was from 2023. I believe this was spring summer 2023 now that I think about it. This was one of those pieces that I think really got slept on. The brand did release it in a few different colorways. They released it in like this like blackish navy color. They also released it in like this gray and white colorway, as well as this khaki. Me personally, I picked up the khaki for one major component, and it's something that most people wouldn't even care about or even notice. But it's the fact that the full interior of the jacket is in like this like salmon rayon material. It's kind of like the one that they use on most of their major outerwear pieces, but I find the color to be really handsome and a really nice comfortable detail, especially for the wearer. But one of the things that I want to point out before I get too in depth with this video in regards to like trunk show orders, the pieces that are being shown at the show are samples that are either still being like tinkered with, and like colorways and fabrics might change. And when you buy from a trunk show, typically you kind of keep that in mind. But for me, the change that was made on this jacket was one of the reasons that, like, I don't want to say I was disappointed, because I still enjoy the jacket very much. But that same like salmon rayon material that was used on the inside actually was like the color of like the contrast stitching on the back of this jacket. And for me, that like salmon color on the gold really like popped out, and it created like a nice contrast, which for some might be a little bit too gaudy. It's probably better that they did go with like this more neutral like yellow piping so that it's a little bit more subtle of a graphic. Nonetheless, it was one of those things that it was a very minor change, but it kind of made me feel some type of way about the release. Same thing with like the chest. I believe the chest might have been a little bit more of a salmon color as well. But still, I think for me though, the YARDLINE is still a very slept on release. I love the fit of it. It's extremely oversized, and it kind of has this like mandarin collar detail that some people fold. So here in California, at least, it's not necessarily something you can get away with wearing like on like a 70-degree day. Like, I think it definitely needs to be in like the 50s and 60s to be able to like fully experience this jacket with different layers. But moving on to some of the different details, so the whole body is composed of like this wool linen fabric. It's extremely comfortable and very interesting. You have a nice like texture and like grain effect throughout the fabric. And I think it's one of those jackets that Visvim like experimented with in regards to like fabric composition. This was very early on when they were doing a lot of that wool linen blend stuff. And so for me, it was one of those pieces that kind of like started cementing the use of that fabric for the brand. One of the details that I don't find the most enjoyable, like, or I didn't find the most enjoyable at first, but I kind of like failed to like really like appreciate it, was the use of a black zipper. Like, the contrast seems like very subtle to some people, but when you're paying like this amount of money for different products, you want to make sure that like the details that you're looking at are something that you enjoy. The zipper was black when I looked at the sample, so it was kind of like an in-between thing. Like, I always thought I'd wear it zipped up, but as it grew on me, I kind of liked the fact that the zipper contrasted in the way that it did, and it just created like a subtle detail for the jacket that, you know, really is something so minor, but something that I really enjoy. The zipper is this like custom Visvim zipper, but I think that this was before they went full in on their own product, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so this one was made by Riri. So, I mean, it's cool when Visvim adds these like little details, and it's really enjoyable. And the fact that they're working with a manufacturer that is known to produce some of like the best hardware in the world is just an added detail in regards to like, you know, getting what you pay for. When it comes to the cuffs, I never adjust them, but you do have these like snap closure adjustments. And this is another one of those details that is like super minor that not a lot of people would notice, but the zipper's black, the interior is pink, the outside is khaki, and then the buttons are like these like shiny white metal buttons. It's the use of all these different colors and materials and design choices that kind of make this one in particular a little bit different. Like, the other colorways kind of stay more in line. They keep like maybe 2 or 3 different like hardware colors throughout, but this one has so many different variations that it's like one of those things, like, if you know the details, you'll notice, but if not, then it's just one of those things that flies really under the radar. The jacket is down-filled. I believe this is a 93% down-filled jacket with 7% feathers. So I also enjoy the fact that this jacket isn't filled with like too much of that synthetic polyester that Visvim tends to use on some other releases. Like, I like the fact that there's actual feathers and like down in this jacket. The back graphic is probably going to be the most controversial talking point for this jacket, because this is really when the brand started going super heavy in on graphics. For me, it's like, as a car enthusiast, I really enjoy like the motif, but I can see why some people might not find this graphic, you know, inspiring. But the use of like the FBT instead of like traditional like Pegasus, I think that just is a nice little touch, and it kind of falls in line with what the brand's been doing lately. But talking about fit, you do have these waist adjusters that you can use to kind of bring the jacket closer to you to prevent like wind and things like that from like entering the jacket. But this is definitely one of those pieces that's like really big and oversized that you can layer out and definitely get like a nice, comfortable, cozy like fit. To me, whenever I put this on, it almost feels like I'm putting on like a duvet, if that makes any kind of sense. Like, it's definitely like a big jacket, and it's something that you definitely want to, you know, make sure that you're wearing when it gets rather cold, because if you're wearing this in like 70, 80 degree weather, like, it's crazy. I think it's interesting because I think for this season, I really enjoyed the spring and summer releases from the brand versus the fall winter pieces. And this is one of those items that, again, it's not anything special, like it's a mainline release, but it really drew my attention when I first saw it at the trunk show, and I'm very happy that I was able to pick it up. I had seen some different colorways released at different retailers, and some of them even went on sale, like up to like 50% off. So for those of you that were able to like pick it up for like around $1,000, I'd say that's a really good price for this jacket. So this jacket was also part of a trunk show order. This one was from 2023. This is the Corpse Down jacket. It's one of the first jackets I saw from the brand in the leak that I was like, okay, when I go to the trunk show, I'm probably going to go place an order on that. Because it's one of those Visvim silhouettes that's been released in the past, but was in their more slim / like regular cut. And those just straight up don't work for me. They're too small in the chest, too small in the body. And so the fact that this got released, much like the Irish jacket, in this like larger jacket cut, made it so that I can wear this jacket with just a t-shirt with a sweater underneath, and made it a really versatile like layering piece. The reason I gravitated towards this colorway is because I don't own too many black jackets. Based on what I've shown you guys on this channel, I really only think it's like the Grenier jacket or whatever that I have in black. So that's definitely a color that most people have in their wardrobe that I apparently tend to lack. So I'm going to make sure that I pick up more darker pieces. But this is one of those like traditional, like, again, military inspired bomber jackets that the brand created like a nice like Japanese reinterpretation of. Like, you have a very soft and comfortable, and again, this one's going to have that like duvet down effect, but you have a mixture of like down and feather for the interior. You have a full nylon exterior, and one of the components that I really enjoy about this is the fact that it's fully reversible. I believe the interior is also of a nylon material. The buttons are like these like horn buttons that the brand uses. They feel super substantial. They're nice and like chunky. The use of these like little ribbing details instead of like a zipper is also kind of cool. It gives it a nice like little effect that this type of style of jacket has been known to have. The gray used on the inside, I think it's gray. Some people think it's purple, but agree to disagree. It does kind of actually have a purple shade now that I'm looking at it, but this is what makes this jacket so enjoyable to me. Like, you have these like D-shaped pockets as you would on like the Irish jacket. You have like all these different details that I think are small enough to really bring the piece together, like the wool, like mixed like ribbing and things like that. And the fact that this colorway is like different enough from the exterior to where it feels like you're buying a 2-for-1 again. Like, lately, I've been really enjoying when Visvim releases these jackets that are reversible, because it kind of feels like you're getting a discount of some sort, you know, buying 2 for 1. This is one of those jackets, though, that is really, like, poofy. Like, I genuinely sometimes feel like the Michelin Man when I wear this, and I'm sure you guys can probably see some of the different sections where, like, the down in the feather is, like, kind of, like, lined up horizontally, but this is a big jacket. And I think that, you know, just being here and putting it on, like, I'm already sweating. So like it has to be really cold for me to wear this. And this jacket wasn't like an FIL exclusive or anything. It was a mainline release. I think most retailers picked up the olive green colorway, but for me the black just stood out a little bit more, and it filled a void that I didn't already have in my closet. And I think that, you know, this and the Thorson and like the Iris, having all three really makes me appreciate the different like twists that the brand is able to put on like historic like military outerwear pieces. And moving on to the last outerwear piece that I'm really looking forward to wearing this fall winter is the Harrier down vest. So I have been wanting a Harrier down jacket for so long, but I've yet to pull the trigger because I got into the brand a little bit too late to get that like dark gray release. And I think that I really either want like the dark gray version or like a dark green version. So when the Contrary Department like release from a few years ago was announced, I made sure that I got at least something, you know, that was similar. The cool thing about this vest is the fact that you really could wear it in like the summer and get away with it, because, you know, the fact that it's sleeveless and a little bit more open, I think makes it extremely versatile. And there's so many different ways that you can wear this jacket with either just a t-shirt or with, you know, a hoodie underneath. And for me, this was one of those like rare moments from the brand where I think it was a good idea that they sold this outside of just FIL locations, because if I remember correctly, the exposition store was meant to like house Contrary Department exclusively. But the fact that they put this out and released it at some of their more like popular stockists, I think made it a good opportunity for people that aren't necessarily able to visit the exposition store on a regular basis. I think it gave them the opportunity to experience something kind of special, because when Visvim does these like interpretations of military wear, I think that's when they're at their best. Like this is like a nylon, mud dyed, garment dyed, whatever. It's been treated in so many different ways that it makes it look like a vintage garment. So for this colorway, they did use these like vintage crown zippers. Again, these things are like super meaty and chunky. It's one of those like, I believe if I'm not mistaken, this is one of those like dead stock zippers that they had from like the 40s and the 50s that they source in order to use for like special releases like this. And so being able to see that attention to detail for, you know, a wider audience than just those that shop at the exposition, I think is only helping the brand grow and like kind of push the product that they're looking to like, you know, to get out there. And I think that this vest is a good interpretation of everything that Visvim does, right? They draw inspiration from military wear. They draw inspiration from old techniques. You know, they use, you know, ancient dyeing techniques as well. And the overall craftsmanship on this jacket and material selection is really enjoyable. And while, you know, I still want a Harrier down jacket, I think the vest will do for now. What I have noticed, though, is that the jacket cut is a little bit roomier in the chest. For me, this is a little bit smaller, even though, for the most part, this is going to be an oversized fit for some. I do have a very wide chest, so, you know, it's a little on the smaller side for me, but the armholes are comfortable. You can adjust it at the waistline with this, like, little thing here, but again, it like kind of barely fits, and this is a size 5, so there's really no need for me to do that. You do have these like D-ring metal adjusters on the body of the jacket. Towards the waistline, you do have these like almost like a herringbone fabric adjuster that I think add like a nice little contrast color. And I really enjoy this green colorway, but if I were to pick a second colorway, I really also enjoyed the blue that was released, just because like the taping from the zipper contrasts a little bit more, especially on like the reverse side, which again, we're doing that 2-for-1 special again. This vest is reversible. I personally enjoy the traditional exterior a little bit more than the interior, but you're able to see some of the more like different paneling and adjusting throughout the vest on the interior. And overall, this is one of those pieces that has a lot of different aspects of the brand that we all enjoy, and it just kind of puts it all together in one great and like seamless package. So those are the 3 outerwear items that I'm really looking forward to wearing this upcoming season. Let me know what you guys think about each individual piece in the comments. Do you have a preference in any of the different models shown today? Until next time, thank you all again for tuning in. Peace.